Yo, what's going on guys? Hanging Hunter Doors here. My name's Dimitri, back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be throwing on a D-loop on this Phase 433. In the last video, we put on this Hamskea Epsilon Rest, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure you go check it out. But come back here because in today's video, we're throwing on the D-loop. And we're going to be going through how to install a D-loop, tying it, everything like that. Some pro tips for installing a D-loop. And then we'll go from there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Alright guys, so real quick, I just wanted to mention, if you guys are liking the content and you're liking the channel so far and you're new here or subscribed, please like the video. That really helps us grow. That just basically tells YouTube that you like the video, and then it will send it to other people that might also like it. As well as, if you're new here, please subscribe and turn those post notifications on, because we are going to be posting a lot more often, and we try to post very informative and the most educational videos that we can, just to, kind of help you guys. Also, if you guys are interested, we have a giveaway going on. We really want to give back to all of our viewers and supporters. It is absolutely insane. We've hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, and within a short period of time of that, we're actually already at 1,200 subscribers. So we're growing very fast, and we've been getting a lot of views on our videos, and we really appreciate it. So to give back to you guys, we have put together a giveaway. Now, it was a little confusing in the past. We had kind of like a raffle ticket system, but that is no longer the case. Me and my dad, we kind of put our heads together, and we figured that we might as well make it completely free and just try to, give back as much as we can. And we really want to give back to one of you guys as soon as possible. So the giveaway is 3 30-inch Hawk Helium climbing sticks, 3 of our Easy Strap 2.0s to go along with that, as well as a set of stick slings. So that way you basically have a whole setup for this hunting season, minus the actual tree stand itself. And yeah, all of that is completely free to enter. All you have to do is go ahead and go over to our website, which will be linked in the description below. You go ahead, click on that, it'll take you right to the giveaway page. You fill out a little form and you submit it, and you're entered to win. As well as we will ship it. We cover shipping, so you won't be hit with any hidden shipping fees. Everything will be taken care of, and we'll just send you all of your stuff. So with that being said, please go and enter to win the giveaway. We really want to give back to one of you guys, give back to a lucky winner. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and throw this bow in the bow press, and we will go into our first tip, actually, because we need to do that first before we can even think about tying in the peep and stuff. So let's go ahead and head over to the bow press. Alright guys, so we're here at the press, and our pro tip that we kind of have to do before we actually get into tying the D-loop is to put in our peep sight. Because depending on the size of the peep sight, depending on which one you use, if you have a 1/4 inch, blah blah blah, there's different sizes. Spreading the strings can actually slightly adjust your position of your D-loop. Now that's not gonna, totally matter, because you still have to go ahead and tune the bow. But I like to do this step first, just because, it takes out any variables of me putting in the D-loop and then throwing in the peep. So we're gonna throw in the peep for now, just as like a rough placement, just so that we get that string spread out. And then we're not going to go ahead and tie it in or anything like that in this video, because we're going to be doing that in another video. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and throw it in. Alright guys, so I'm going to be installing this Hamskea Raptor peep. And there we go. We have our peep in a rough location. It doesn't have to be anything like set in stone. Just rough location, just so that we already have the strings spread here. And now we can go ahead and work on tying in our D-loop. Alright guys, so I got the bow set back up in the vise. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and throw on our bow level. And I'm going to get this set up. Get our bow perfectly squared away. And right there, our bow is perfectly dead nuts. So I'm going to go ahead and take off our level. And then I'm going to go ahead and loosen up our rest adjustment that we made and get this to come up. And that way we know exactly where our rest is going to end up. Alright, now this knock is actually going to fight me. It's not holding onto the string super tight. So what I do when this happens is I'll actually go ahead and get some of my knock point tying thread, and I'll kind of use this as a position holder. And then I take it and I run it through some beeswax. And then since this wants to slide up, I'll go ahead and use this on the top. And basically you just tie a little knot and then you can slide it down, tie it, and that will hold the arrow in place so that you can go ahead and get it level. Alright guys, and as you can see, our bubble is sitting absolutely perfect right now. So I have the nock end exactly where it should be. Now we can go ahead and tie in that nocking point. Alright guys, so now the way that I like to do this is I'm going to keep this top one in here. I'm not going to touch it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tie the bottom one in now. I like to always tie my bottom one in first, just because then that becomes the resting point for the nock when you go ahead and install the arrow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here, get it 50-50, tie my knot, and it's just a single overhand knot, and I keep the knot facing the back of the nock. And then I go ahead and I get this tight, and then I'll push it up under the arrow, nock, and I'll make it so that it is about one of these center servings width or diameter under the nock. So right there is looking pretty good. Just move it up a little bit. I just use my nails to kind of like push it up, and I get that tight. Now these don't have to be super crazy tight, but it does help to have them snug. And then I come through around the back and I give it another knot. And I just go right under that one that I had just made, and then I kind of push it up a little bit so that the front end of that knot kind of gets pushed up a little bit. Now this arrow is kind of giving me a little bit, it's being a little bit of a pain in the ass. The nock isn't you know, clicking in tight against here, but that's 2 knots that I have on the back now. So I'm just going to go one more out in the front and tie this knot in the back here. So that's 2 knots that I have on the front end of the string over here. You don't need to crank them down super tight, just get them snug. And then I come off and tie this one in on the back. And now this is my 3rd knot in the back, so I end it here. And I do that by just tying a square knot, which is basically a knot opposite to the one that you just tied. Alright guys, so now that we have that done, I just checked the level and it is absolutely perfect. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down on top of the nock point that we made here, and then I'm going to scooch this one down. And I'm going to make sure that I got a little bit of wiggle room. I'll give it a double knot just so that it holds a little better. Boom. And then you see that play? That's what we want. So basically what happens is, let's say that this is your main bowstring, right? As you pull your bow back, it creates an angle there. And that angle can actually pinch on the back of this nock. And what that can cause is that when you're drawing the bow back, the tip of the arrow is going to be bouncing all over the place, and it can actually pick up your arrow and move it off of your rest. But then we just do the same thing that we've been doing for a while, which is just overhand knots. This is the 2nd one that I've put back here. This is the 2nd one that I've put in the front. Just make sure you tighten it down, and then this will be my 3rd in the back here. And then we have 3 in the bottom, we do 3 on the top, and now to finish off this knot we just do a reverse, excuse me, not reverse, we just do a square knot. And now we can actually pop this out. We don't have to worry about the bow being level anymore. We can take our arrow out, we can burn and singe these ends, and then we can just throw the D-loop on. We don't even need the arrow in or knocked on the string anymore. And then real quick, I just wanted to mention, after we go ahead and do this step, once we go ahead and cut these off, we can retension our rest over here. Alright guys, so a lot of people debate on how long your D-loop material should actually be. A lot of people will actually flare one end, tie it in here, bring it over, tie the other end, and then cut it and flare it here and pull it. There's some variables that I don't like about that. I actually like to keep all my D-loops just one consistent length, and then adjust my draw length through twisting up my strings. So the way that I like to do this is I like to actually flare one end and get it a nice even flare, and then I will cut it to, let's say, 4 3/4, 4 5/8, and then I'll go ahead and flare the other end, and then that gives me a pretty a perfect length of where I like to be. About 1/4 inch of material I like to flare out, just like that. Get a nice big flare, and then with just your standard lighter, you go around and just twist it, and that'll give you a very even ball. And then you have, oh, that was out of frame, apologies, but as you can see, you got the gist. It turns into a nice big ball, and then I don't like smash the end down, but I will touch it just so that it flattens out a little bit. And so that is how I like to tie my D-loops, and as you can see, those are pretty consistent in size and they look good. So as you can see there, 4 1/2, that's right at my mark, and now I'll go ahead and install this. Now depending on which hand you are, so for example, if you're a lefty or a righty, you're going to tie this in differently. For this example, it's actually a lefty. So just to give you an example of how you're looking at the inside of the bow here, and then this is the outside of the bow, the outside where the quiver mounts to. That's this side. This side's the inside the shelf where you actually load in the arrow and shoot. Now, because this is a lefty, when you go to anchor, you're turning this way. You're going to go ahead and start your D-loop on this side. So I like to tie in the top first and then work towards the bottom. But you come here and then you pull your D-loop material through. Now you want the string or the through part of the D-loop that's going to come around and attach to the other side, you want that to be closest to your nocking point. You get that kind of situated where you want it to be, and then you come around. And now because we started on this side, we start this one on the opposite side, and that's what that already initiated twist is. So we come around, we go through the D-loop like so. You get it set up like this. Then you come around and back through the string right there. It's coming up. And also the reason why we start on either side, so this one's starting on this side, this one's starting on this side coming up. The reason why we do that too is because then when we shoot, our D-loop isn't going to want to wrap around the string every time that we shoot. It kind of fights it so that one end wants to go this way, one end wants to go this way, and it stays centered on that string. So now that we have that, and now we check to make sure that the D-loop is looking nice and uniform. We make sure that we have it pushed up against our nocking points, not super tight that we, pinch those nocking points in. We want that spacing in between, but tight enough so that they're right, right there, right up against it. And then we take our D-loop pliers, which I just have a pair of Easton needle nose pliers, and they have like little grooves on the front here, and they just go right in here. And then you pull up, and that right there sets your D-loop. And now let's make sure that we're nice and even, and we are. It doesn't look like our D-loop buttons are pulling through at all. And then we'll just go ahead and give it one more crank to tighten that up, and that is good to go. And now, just out of curiosity, we will go ahead and measure our D-loop height. And our D-loop height is right at 5/8 of an inch, which is exactly where I like it to be. Alright guys, so real quick, now that we tied in our D-loop, let's go ahead and get into some of the pro tips that I like to do when I'm at this stage. Alright guys, so you see this right here, this is your string stop. Now a lot of these bows, they come with the string kind of pushed away almost, with this touching it. And the way that you adjust that is there's 2 screw holes down in here. And I actually like to adjust this at this stage because I do not like this string stop exactly pushing on the string. I want it to be just barely touching it and maybe even having the tiniest little gap in between there. So I like to go ahead and adjust this now. These are the string weights, or the speed weights some people like to call them. You go ahead, and what I like to do is I like to look at those, and if I see them move, I know I'm going too far, but if I can feel resistance and they don't move, I know I'm right where I need to be. And right there, looks good. They're not moving whatsoever when I adjust this up and down. And they're good to go. And right there I'm making contact, but there's no influence on the string, which is what I want. And I'll just go ahead and tighten these guys back down. Alright guys, so that is pretty much going to sum up how we tie in a D-loop. I hope you guys enjoyed. I tried to stuff in as many pro tips as I can, but when you're tying in a D-loop, it's pretty simple, and there are only so many tips. So I hope you enjoyed throwing in the peep sight before you actually tie this, because that can slightly adjust your D-loop placement, as well as adjusting this little rod here, because this can actually affect your accuracy if it's influencing and pushing that string. So yeah, that's pretty much going to sum up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao guys.